Hello, people. I am back. It's been many, many months since I made a video, maybe over a year. I don't even remember. But I've been dying to make one, and I finally said tonight's the night. I'm just going to sit down and make a quick video. First of all, I hope everyone out there is well. I hope everyone's just healthy and just doing well. I miss everyone. And like I say, I've been dying to get a video out. And to be honest, I recorded two videos and decided not to publish them, which is something I've never done before. After that last Friday in January attack, I waited a few days to compose myself because I really wanted to do a video on that. And I made the video and I decided I wasn't going to upload it. And then throughout February, when gold and silver continued to get attacked, I made another video, and once again, I decided I wasn't going to upload it. So hopefully this one, when it's all over, I'll decide to upload or not. We'll see how it goes. But I did want to go back to that last trading day in January, when gold and silver were absolutely attacked, brutally, viciously, okay? That day of infamy, I'm calling it, okay? Because that's what it was like. It was like the day of infamy, right? Which is now turning into the quarter of infamy, okay? And you might the day of infamy, right? That was when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, right? Tora, Tora, Tora. And that's what it was like that day, okay? And Tora, 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 right? That's like a secret code word they used, right? It means tiger, tiger, tiger. And really what it meant was a complete, successful surprise attack. And that's what that was that day. And continues to be, okay? A complete, successful surprise attack on gold and especially silver, all right? Completely attacked, okay? But as I look back on it, was it really a surprise? I don't think it was really a surprise, okay, honestly. Because the days in leading up to the attack, there were markers out there. There was definitely markers, okay? It was like the circus, okay? And I say the word markers, it reminds me of The Big Short. You know, I always like to go back to The Big Short, right? Because Dr. Burry, right? He's the first one to put on The Big Short, right? And then the big investor, right? Who has no confidence in his trade, right? Him and the other guy, they come, roaring into his office. We have no confidence in your ability to pick macroeconomic trends, right? Something like that. He says, you flew all the way out here to tell me that? Everyone could see there are markers. We could all see it's a bubble. And the guy says, no one can see it's a bubble. That's what makes it a bubble, right? And Dr. Burry said, come on, Lawrence, that's dumb. There's always markers. And with silver, there were a lot of markers, to be honest, okay? There were a lot of markers that silver was in a tremendous bubble, all right? And it was like the circus, to be honest, all right? And the first thing in the circus is you have a lot of clowns, right? And there was a lot of clowns on YouTube who are just hacks. They don't manage money. They don't move money. They just have an opinion that's not worth much of anything. Okay? Clowns calling for $300 silver and $500 silver and $1,000 silver. Okay? Just a bunch of clowns. Just like at the circus. You have clowns. They're there for amusement, though, the clowns. Okay? They're not there for intellectual, financial advice. Okay? And they all say, this isn't advice. Of course it's not advice, because you have no business giving advice. Okay? So, in that sense, you kind of are like the clowns, because it's really just entertainment. Okay? So let's talk about that. These clowns that are calling for $300, $500 silver, $1,000 silver, these Johnny-come-latelys, okay? If anyone is out there telling you that you got to hold on to your gold and silver for dear life, in my opinion, that is very irresponsible, very reckless, very dangerous, and could cost you a lot of money. So if anyone is out there saying you got to hold on to your silver for dear life, they should stop that. Because I don't think they understand the damage that they could be doing. All right? Now, don't misunderstand me here, people. Gold and silver are not trades. I am not saying you trade silver and gold every day, or every week, or every month, or even every year. But when silver goes from like $30 an ounce to $120 an ounce, okay, there is nothing wrong with liquidating that position, taking that profit, and waiting for another entry point, okay? Because there is nothing worse than seeing something go up on paper to come all the way back down, okay? Mentally, that's hard. You don't get over that easy, all right? So any clown out there saying, you got to hold on for dear life, no, you don't. No, you don't. There's nothing wrong when something goes from $30 to $120 that you can say, hey, I've had enough. It's way over its 200-day moving average. Everybody is getting in. It's time to exit. You don't have to hold on for dear life. There's nothing in this world you should be holding on to for dear life other than a Bible, okay? And if you're a man, your wife. Other than that, you can let go of everything as far as I'm concerned, all right? Bunch of clowns. Then at the circus, you got the high wire act, right? They balance on the high wire. They don't want to fall. That's what it was like with silver. It's $120. Is it going to crash? Is it going to go up? It was like a balancing act, right? You had half the crowd are like, it's going to crash. You had the other half of the crowd saying it's going up. This time it's different. It's not different. It's never different, okay? It's the same thing. You knew it was going to crash. And you know why you knew it was going to crash? Because silver always crashes. That's what it does. That's its track record. It crashes all the time, okay? You know my background in horse race handicapping. I was a professional horse race handicapper, right? And how do you pick a horse? You base it on his past performances. You see what it did in the past, right? You look at all the everything that you could quantify, right? Its speed, its track, its class, its distance, its jockey, its position, so on and so forth, right? And you take all that into consideration and you decide, okay, based on what he did in the past, what is he going to do today? And is it worth it? Is the risk-reward ratio worth it? Well, if you look at everything silver does in the past, it goes all the way up. They pump it up and they crash it down. That's what they do. And everybody's been talking about the Hunt brothers lately, the Hunt brothers. What did they do? They pumped it up and they crashed it down, right? And back in 2010, 2011, right, you had J.P. Morgan and you had Bear Stearns. What did they do? They pumped it up and they crashed it down. There's nothing different here. The only thing that's different here is just different numbers, just a higher level. So what did they do here? They pumped it up and they crashed it down. Why would you expect anything different? I wouldn't. So where is silver going to go from here? I have no idea. Will we ever see $120 in our lifetime again? I don't know that. None of these clowns know that either. Okay? They don't know that either. I don't care what method they use. I don't care about the fundamentals. Okay, the fundamentals mean nothing. Okay, when it comes to gold and silver. Okay? Back in 2011, the Fed was starting all this quantitative easing, they had, what did they have? Quantitative easing 1, quantitative easing 2, quantitative, then the final one was like, if the fundamentals weren't ready for gold to take off back then, I don't know what was. But what did it do? It did the opposite. And it went down and down and down for several years. That's another thing. If you got out, you're okay. You know, let me take a step back. Okay? I told you my background when I got into gold and silver, 1999. Okay? There was a newsletter that came to my father's house from Nick Garino, the Wall Street Underground. I never heard of him, never heard of the Wall Street Underground. Okay, I went over to my father's house just after work, see how he was doing, say hello. It was on the kitchen table. I've said this more than once. He said, here, you might be interested in this, right? It came to him, it was free. He didn't ask for it. I took it home, I read it. Being the risk taker that I was in horses, it made sense to me. I digested the whole newsletter in 20 minutes. The next day, I went out and bought gold and silver. Gold was $252 an ounce. I think silver was $4.30 at the time. Didn't hesitate at all. Knew nothing at all about gold and silver. Nothing. Except this newsletter from this guy, Nick Garino, about the coming gold boom. Okay? That's all I needed to know. So I've been in this for 27 years now, okay? And when I started this channel, right, quite a few years ago, right, I started it to share the mistakes that I made in gold and silver with you. I didn't start it to sell mugs. I didn't start it to sell T-shirts, okay? I started it to share the mistakes I made in gold and silver. And to be honest, I only made one mistake, but I made the same mistake twice. And that's not getting out. There is a time to get out, okay? When gold goes from $252 to $1,900, you don't have to hold on for dear life. You can get out. And you could wait, and maybe it takes a year, or 2, or 3, or 4, which is what it did, and then you could get back in. So if you did that this time around, you could have doubled your silver. The number of you could have literally practically doubled it, because it went from like 120 down to practically 60. You could have doubled the amount you had. Instead, if you're holding on for dear life, you got the same amount that you have, and now you're sweating bullets. And now you're sitting on your thumbs, and now all you got is hope. That's what you got now. Hope that you'll see 120 again, or something even close to that. And hope is not an investment strategy. Okay? Hope and patience are not investment strategies. Okay? They're not. So you have this high wall. And let's talk about 120 silver. Okay? Because I called up my gold dealer. Now, it crashed on that Friday. Wednesday night, I called up my gold dealer. And they weren't giving you anywhere near 120 an ounce for your silver. Okay? Because everyone was selling. Everyone was selling and getting out. So they were overloaded with inventory. I think they were offering 95 on that Wednesday. And then what happened? Gold and silver went down hard. I think it might have been that Thursday. And then they bounced back that Thursday night. That was the fake out. That was the fake out, right? And I called up again, and they were giving you $106, I think, for your silver. Not 120. Okay, so don't think you're going to get what the price is, all right? You're not. You got to keep that in mind the next time around, all right? Because if it goes back up and everybody's selling, you're not going to get that spot price, okay? You'll be lucky to get the paper price, the price that everybody thinks is phony. You'll be happy to get that price because you might not even get that, okay? So you got to keep that in mind. I don't think that was on anybody's bingo card. So it was the High Wire Act, all right? And another thing, all right, getting back to the fundamentals and all these clowns, right? So what started happening? You saw all these AI videos now. This guy, this Asian guy, he must have 30 different channels, right? 30 different channels with contradictory information, all right? Some of them are very bullish, some of them are bearish, okay? And all of them have a good deal of truth in them, okay? But it's not 100% accurate, okay? There is some errors. So they're very dangerous. And I think a lot of people started listening to this algorithm, this AI, okay? Pumping it up, all right? It was just another marker that it was in a bubble. It was in a bubble ready to crash, okay? I'll give you two personal markers that it was in a bubble. The first one, you might remember, I have a friend who's a stock guy, and for years we would be talking about stocks and gold, and he always disparaged gold and everything else, and silver, right? Always made fun of me for being a gold bull, right? Remember that guy? He was into stocks, right? Well, in October, someone else, another friend of his, influenced him. And he finally started buying gold and silver. So what I couldn't do, I couldn't change his mind. I couldn't convince him, but somebody else did. And in late October, early November, he started buying gold and silver. And he kept buying it every week. He's buying and buying and buying. And by the time he got it delivered, it was already up. He was already making a profit. And he thought this was great. This is wonderful. This is easy, right? You can't lose. Typical sign of a bubble. Typical sign. He kept buying throughout Thanksgiving and in December. Okay, and so, oh, this is easy. This is great. Then my daughter, she calls me up one day. She's in like a grocery store. She's like, guess what I overheard this young guy talking about? Gold. He was on the phone with his friend. Oh, you see what gold is doing? We got to get into gold. It was a bubble. These are the markers, okay? This time is not different. Okay, people? It's the same old, same old. And then what's the finale in the circus? Usually it's like they shoot the clown out of a cannon. So that's what they did. Right? That's what the banksters did, right? They got everybody into the cannon, right? They shoved them all in, right? And they fired it off. And now the carcasses are all over the street, okay? Now you got to sweep the carcasses away, okay? And now you got to wait and see, all right? So I don't want to hear you got to hold on for dear life. I don't want to hear about the fundamentals. I don't want to hear about Fibonacci, okay? I don't want to hear all that crap, okay? Because that's what it is. And you know what else? Getting back to like this AI video and what's the other thing you hear now all about? You hear about the COMEX and the paper, right? I've been hearing this for I don't know how many decades now. The COMEX is going to collapse. It's going to collapse, right? The paper contracts. Right? You got the eligible, you got the registered category, and it's being drained, okay? And March is going to be a very big month for silver. That came and went, right? April's going to be a big month, right? Then May, it's the same old, right? Can I ask a simple question? If you and I are seeing this information on YouTube, about how the COMEX only has 76 million ounces, right, in the registered category, right, and they're 7-to-1, and the physical delivery and the premium Shanghai is 10, 12, 15%. If you and I are seeing this, okay, on YouTube, right, with the information being disseminated by YouTube hacks who don't manage money, who don't move money. Don't you think the big guys know this as well? What do you think? We have this little secret that only we're privy to? Don't you think the big guys at JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank, okay, and bank, don't you think they know this? Of course they do. So wake up. Wake up, people. All right? So now the crash has happened, right? And now you got people, right, who are trying to console themselves, I guess. The first thing they console themselves with is if silver's down 40, 50%, it's not a bear market. It's just a correction, right? If it was a stock, they'd be screaming, bear market, bear market, bear market. It's down 20%, 30%. But somehow with gold and silver, they get a pass. Right? Why? Why do they get a pass? If gold is down 20, 30%, it's a bear market. If silver is down 30, 40, 50%, it's a bear market. Call it what it is. Stop deluding yourselves and stop being deluded by other people. YouTube hacks. Then there's the people who are like, I still have the same number of ounces, so it doesn't matter. What are you talking about? Wake up. Your head is in the sand. You still have the same number of ounces. That is nonsense. Complete nonsense. You're either deluding yourself or you're being deluded. You could have gotten $120, or I should say $106 for your silver. Now you can only get $70 for your silver. It's the same number of ounces, though. Think about what you're saying. If I put a $100 bill in my wallet today, okay, and I pull it out a year from now, am I going to go around saying, I still got the same $100 bill? Of course not, because you and I know it's not worth the same. Isn't that one of the reasons you're buying gold and silver in the first place? To preserve your purchasing power? Well, you could have got $106 worth of purchasing power before the crash. Now you get $70 worth of purchasing power. So stop this nonsense about I still have the same amount of ounces. It's silly talk. It just is. I'll put a $100 bill in a time capsule, okay? And I'll tell my great-great-great-grandchild, open it up. Oh, it's the same $100 bill. We still got it. Don't be silly. I could go on and on, people. I really can. There's so much to say, but I think I've said enough. I think you get the point, all right? So I think it's a Sunday night, by the way. Gold is getting smacked down again. As soon as the market opened, it was down about $100. Silver's down another 2 and change, all right? These markets are going nowhere fast, okay? I don't know what's going to be. I really don't. Could they come back? Of course, they can come back. I'm not saying they can't. Will they? I don't know. If they do, when? I don't know. What I do know, okay, if you just sell it when it's in a bubble, then you don't have to worry about when it's coming back. Okay? You could be sitting pretty. You could have bought it back at 70, 60, 80, whatever. Same with gold. So don't hold on for dear life. You don't have to. So that's all I'm going to say. So I said I wanted this channel, started this channel, right, to share the mistakes I made. And I said I only made one mistake, but I made it twice, the same mistake. And that's holding on. You know, I said I have that bottle of champagne, right? And I would pop it when the time was right. Well, I didn't pop it. It came close. It was on ice. It was on ice. It was ready to get popped. But I didn't pop it. No. So now it's back. Now it's back in the refrigerator. Maybe it'll come out a year or two from now. I don't know. We'll see. Or maybe I'll celebrate something else. Maybe what else could I celebrate? Okay, some rare. I got to do some rare occurrence. Oh, and talking about rare occurrences, these YouTube hacks. They were calling what was happening like what would they call it? Like a Six Sigma event or whatever. And these YouTube hacks who know nothing actually were taking that literally. Okay? No, it just means a very rare occurrence that happens every 20 years, 25 years. Okay? So they know nothing. They know nothing. So I got to think of another rare occurrence, right? That I could pop this champagne. Okay? Because it's certainly rare that silver goes up and stays up. Okay? So we'll see. But anyway, it's getting late. It was a beautiful day here. It's a little chilly for this time of the year where I am, but if you can get out, get out. Take a good long walk. Clear your head. Clear your mind. Something else came to my mind, but I'm not going to go there. This is not a political channel. I mean, I talk about the economy, gold, silver, stocks, the economy in general. I talk about the Fed and politicians, how that relates to the economy, okay? I don't get involved in like the war or anything like that. But I could say some things on that as well. But maybe I won't. I won't. Because some of the people that are saying some things, they really lit a fire under me, okay? And I'll just leave it at that, okay? Anyway, people, it's good seeing you. I don't know when I'll be back again, but I was dying to get this video out. So, ciao.